no time for introductions. Even though it's the second day of spring, there's all kinds of snow right now. So I'm just trying to capitalize on this scene here. I'm gonna take some images and then I'll let you know what we're doing and where we're at today. Welcome to the Crooked Creek Lookout. It's located in Riverside Albert, New Brunswick, and it's snowing. The weather the last couple days has been absolutely insane. It'll go from heavy snow like this to rain, to freezing rain, to sunshine, all in the span of about half an hour. So I really didn't know what to expect today when I came out here. And I came up here really just to park before I go down to a trail that's just down the road. But how can I not capitalize on this? You can't really see right now because the snow is a little bit too heavy, honestly. But there's some big hills over here and over here. So I'm gonna wait here just a little bit longer. Maybe there'll be a break in the clouds and some light will shine through the valley, which would be a great photo opportunity. And then I'll head down the trail because there's a nice river that runs through the valley with a waterfall, which I've never been to, so I hope I can find the trail, but it shouldn't be too hard. So that's the plan for this afternoon. I'm really regretting my choice in clothing. I expected it to be more rainy than snowy, so I'm wearing a raincoat and a little sun UV hoodie, which is not nearly warm enough for right now. Hopefully once I get down more into the valley, it'll be a lot warmer with less wind. So fingers crossed on that front. Here it comes! The blue sky is here. Let's get the camera back out. Really, I'd like there to be some light coming through the clouds and landing on the mountains, which might happen here shortly. We'll see. It's quite a dramatic area, quite a dramatic landscape. I'm trying to get a little bit of, in the foreground, I would like some trees with a nice little snow covering, and then the background, we have the mountains and more snow flurries. Honestly, manual focus is working the best for me right now. It's a little bit, there's not much contrast happening in the background. So I'm trying to just focus to infinity. And look at that, the weather has changed again. The snow is basically gone from in front of us, and now you can just see this nice clear valley. And this river right here is where I'm gonna head to here shortly. Like I said, I've never been down there, and hopefully it's not too dramatic of a steep incline to get down there. See you in a little bit. Well, this looks like as much of a trail as I can hope to find. I'm gonna head down here, and hopefully it takes me down to the river without too many sketchy slopes and slippery surfaces. There's all kinds of ropes. This is a good sign that I'm on the right path, but a not so good sign on the conditions of the trail. Hopefully, I mean, it gets quite steep. I'll try my best to get down there safely. This is the snow that's coming down right now. Anytime I see snow like this, I feel like it's fake snow in the movies. This just looks like the fake styrofoam or potato shavings that they use sometimes. But really, it's just weird springtime snow. It's not fluffy, it's kind of sticky, but I mean, it's not really fun to play with, but it is pretty to look at. This is getting sketchy. At least the ropes are back. But man, this is steep. And there's all kinds of, well, not here, but back up there, there's all kinds of ice on the trail, which is not good or safe. So do as I say and don't go down steep hills in early spring. Not as I do. One last sketchy descent and then we're at water level. I can hear it and see it rushing pretty fast back there behind the trees, which is precisely why I'm here. Because early spring is undoubtedly the best time to hang out near rivers and waterfalls. That's exactly why I'm here. I have no idea if you can hear me, so let me just check my audio levels and I'll be right back. There's possibly a couple really cool photos where I just was, but I'm just going to go down there just a little bit more because this is the main waterfall right here, and I kind of want to get to the other side of it so I can take an image shooting upriver towards the falls, and then I'll come back and see if I can do anything else with the main stem of the river. Oh my goodness, I'm just giddy like a little school kid. This is so cool, look at this. I'm not gonna move from where I am because it's quite sketchy, but man, such a cool location. I really need to find somewhere to set up a camera. I discovered my first problem. The falls are just around that rock. However, even though I'm wearing rubber boots, this water, because the water levels are so high, is already almost going over it. And I don't want to go stand in the rapids. So it's gonna be a little bit of a struggle to find somewhere where I can compose an image with the waterfall. Maybe we'll have to do some more thinking. I thought the trail continued up here, but it doesn't. So I'm gonna go back just a little ways. Maybe I'll shoot the waterfall from above, or maybe from the side, or maybe something a little bit more abstract. But I really want to try and take an image of this waterfall while I'm here because the water levels are just so high and there's so much rushing water. It's been raining on and off for the last few days, so it's quite a unique amount of water for this little stream here. I think I found my main vantage point. So from here, I can see the main falls, and if I move around a little bit, I can kind of see that offshoot, which isn't always there. And additionally, there's this super cool tree hugging this boulder here, hanging over the edge. So I think there could also be an issue there, or an image there rather, sorry. So I'm gonna post up here and start working the scene. Now it's raining. The sun is out, there's blue sky above me, and now it's raining. I don't understand the weather this time of year. So at least I don't think we're gonna have second winter this year, which is nice. I think the snow is done accumulating, but man, if the last few weeks are any indicator of what the weather's gonna be like all spring, I'm a little nervous. It's very unpredictable. So I've just taken a couple images. I'm pretty happy with them. I'm using a ND filter, which I don't normally do, so I'm really struggling to find the right shutter speeds. It's also being tough because the light is changing a lot and this water is running incredibly fast. So I don't want too much movement in the water because then I find that looks a little too weird. So I'm trying to find a nice balance of sharpness in the water so you can tell that there's a lot of it happening, but also enough movement so you really can feel the power of the river. That's what I'm working with now. I think the best shutter speed I've got is around 1/10 of a second, which yielded this image here. now I'm going to raise my tripod up just a little bit and maybe go a little bit wider so I can incorporate more of the pool at the bottom of the waterfall and maybe some of the streams that are feeding into the river as well. Okay, so I've got the image that I'm happy with. What I ended up doing was using a shutter speed of 1/5 of a second. That gave me the best long exposure of the falls themselves. And f10, ISO 160, and with my ND filter, I don't really understand my ND filter's scale, but I think it's, let's say 4-stop, a 4-stop ND filter, all the way maxed out, and that yielded this image. And I really like it because the dark rocks on the right-hand side of the image and the left and sort of in the top center really work well with the high contrast of the rushing white water coming from the main falls on the left-hand side and then sort of a tributary running down the right-hand side. It's a nice Y shape, and then it leads you down to the pool at the bottom of the waterfall. And I think that gives a nice composition, and with the slight long exposure, I think it really gives a nice texture to the water. There's still a little bit of clarity in the water, and you can see some colors and some shapes, but with the 1/5 of a second exposure, it really helps to demonstrate how much water is flowing through the falls and how powerful it is at this time of year. Time for a lunch break, and I'd say this is as good of a spot as any, with the rushing water behind me and a little bit of a clearing as the sun comes out. Let me warm everything up. Let's see what we got. We got sandwich, a little bit of leftover roast chicken, some stuffing or dressing, whatever you want to call it, Swiss cheese, and some sweet heat mustard. Amazing combination. Polished off lunch, and while I was sitting here eating, I just started thinking that this time of year, so early spring, really is the best time of year to see waterfalls because oftentimes there's lots of rain, but also in climates where things freeze and there's a nice winter. This is also when all the snow and ice start melting and any water that froze underground starts melting. So there's a lot more water present in rivers and streams. So if you're able to access waterfalls in early spring, so end of March, early April, safely, if you can safely access these waterfalls, it's a really good time of year to go see them. Because it's such a good time of year to see waterfalls, it had me thinking that since I live in New Brunswick and there's lots of waterfalls around me, one thing I might do is over the summer maybe have a bit of a series where I go see as many waterfalls as possible. I won't be able to go see one every week, and not every video will be me visiting a waterfall, but it would be really nice to try and get to as many as possible. I've gone to quite a few around the province, but I kind of go to the same ones repeatedly, so this could be a good excuse and a good way to go see more. Directly behind where I was eating, you go this way just a little bit, there's this nice flat rock, which was in the foreground of my previous images. And I think I'm gonna set up around here and capture maybe all 3 of these waterfalls, but definitely these 2. And then try and include a bit of the river in the background as well. So I'll go grab my big camera and my tripod, and we'll see what we can do here. So this little camera that I'm talking to you on now just took a nasty fall face first on some sharp rocks. So I think everything is still working, but if there's an issue, I apologize. But I have set up my composition here with these 2 falls. So I'm quite happy with this image. I really hope you can hear me. I like this one more than the previous one. I think the composition is just a little bit better. and there's a lot more interest with the multiple falls. Oops, wrong way. Yeah, it's just a little more interesting than the previous one. So very similar to the last one. Shooting at 1/5 of a second. F10, ISO 200 this time. Same thing with about a 4-stop ND filter. 2-second timer just to ensure that the tripod doesn't move. And once again, it works really well. I think the 1/5 of a second exposure is the best balance of movement and sharpness in the water. I'm very happy with those images I just captured. It's different for me because I don't often use filters, but I thought that was just such a good opportunity to practice, but also I really think that the slower shutter speeds that I was able to get by using an ND filter really helped the images as well. So it was good creatively, and also as a good form of practice. So I have one more image in mind. I'm heading back sort of to where I came in, just a little bit, because I don't know if you can see yet, but there's two rivers that sort of join here together. But also, oh God, that is some deep squishy mud that hopefully, okay, good. My boot came out, no problem. Okay, so there's some really cool rapids. And I think that's what I'm gonna try and image here. Get really low and see if I can kind of fill the frame with white water. Same recipe as before. 1/5 of a second, 2-second shutter release timer. Just get a little bit of motion in the water, but maybe not too much. Back up the hill to the car. It's menacing. I really don't know if that comes across at all on camera, but it's gonna be quite the slog up the hill. Mud, mud, mud. I didn't really need to use the ropes on the way down very much. I'm gonna have to use it on the way up. I'm holding the camera level currently. This piece right here is like 60 feet above me, so it's gonna be fun. I don't know how well it comes across on this camera, but it's friggin' snowing again. It was just sunny a minute ago. Now, a nice fresh coating of snow. All right, so I guess I'm gonna end the video where it began, at the Crooked Creek Lookout. I had a lot of fun just down by the river, which is exactly 205 meters below me right now, which was admittedly way harder than it should have been to get back up here. Anyway, I had a lot of fun taking the images down there. It was fun to play around with some longer shutter speeds. I'd be interested to know if you prefer images with movement, whether it's in water and or clouds or trees. If you prefer the movement to be sharp with a really fast shutter speed, or if you prefer it to be a little bit more motion and blurred out with longer shutter speed. So let me know what your preference is and which of my images I captured this afternoon was your favorite. And I'll see you on the next one.